for joining the organizers of Black Pfugerville for the Mayor and County Commissioner today. I'm your hostess, Mimi Stiles. I'm so lucky to be one of the founding members and the Vice President of Black Pfugerville. Black Pfugerville, just so that you all know, it is a nonpartisan, non-profit organization that puts energy to passionately advocating for the inclusion and civic engagement of Black and typically underrepresented members of the Pfugerville community. You can get involved today by becoming an active member in Black Pfugerville. You don't have to be Black to be in Black Pfugerville. What a concept, right? What a concept. So if you're interested right now, please raise your hand. And Tiffany will bring you a form to fill out. You can hold on to that form, and then at the end of the event, please hand that form in. I'll give you guys a couple of moments. Our first body meeting for Black Pfugerville will be held at the Pfugerville Library on October the 24th. Also, look out for the next candidate conversation, which will be held on October the 22nd. And I'm going to kind of go off script for 2 seconds. So, as you all know, voter turnout in Pfugerville is very low, right? It's very low. What we are trying to do is cultivate activism within the community. Activism is not a bad word, right? Go figure. It is a good word. What we're doing in Black Pfugerville is projects such as helping to restore the colored cemetery. Just, there's civic responsibility that goes with living in the city. I love Pfugerville. My family lives here. I have kids at Henderson as well as Kelly Lane. So if I didn't do my part in being an active member, then, I'm just kind of a city duck, right? So I appreciate each one of you all for coming out to this event today and supporting these candidates. I appreciate all of these candidates here for taking an active role in your community. The format of this conversation is considered prepared and spontaneous. You know me, you know that I know that word very well, right? Prior to the forum, the candidates were presented with several prepared questions constructed to elicit detailed responses today. Black Pfugerville understands that responding to the issues are always better when one has time to think, right? We see what happens when they don't have time to think, don't we? A selection of these questions will be asked to specific candidates and they also may be given spontaneous questions originated from the moderator, I'll introduce her in a moment, their opponents, and or the audience. You also can have so you've also been given a cue card. You are able to write down any questions that you have on that cue card, and at any moment, bring those questions to me. I'll be sitting on over here. And I will take those questions, pre-screen them, and if we have time, we'll ask candidates those questions. It always helps if you write the name of the candidate that you want that question addressed to on that cue card. If you need any pens, there's pens over here on this table. We want to thank both AFTV5, that's African TV5, who are our media sponsors right over there. That's Sam. Please give them a hand clap for coming out. And we want to give a special thank you to the Rolling Rooster for opening their doors to cultural responsibility, Black empowerment, and civic duty. Please give them a big hand. I want to also take a quick moment and thank each founding member of Black Pfugerville at this time. Please stand up, as most of you already are, and be recognized. We started this group with just us. We've been meeting together for several months, and just now, because we now have a firm foundation, we're opening up to other members to join. we will have a closed period of time where we're not going to be opening up, and then we will open up to more members. It's just the best way to do this, I believe. And now I'd like to introduce you to our moderator for this morning, Sister Christina Muhammad. Christina is a member of the Nation of Islam, standing for freedom, justice, and equality. She founded the Security Survival Retreat, a class focused on making participants more security-minded on a physical and spiritual level. As an officer in the Inner City Emergency Response Team, she trains city families on how to address disasters. She's also led the charge, just recently, to purchase the emergency vehicle, which will patrol the neighborhoods aimed to help those in need. Again, I'm gonna go off script. As you know, there's been some unrest between community and police, which I believe community means police, means the librarian, means the concerned citizen, means the parent, means the politician. That's community, right? So what Christina and her group have done is they've purchased a vehicle to help serve as a buffer in their community. My definition of community policing is a neighborhood's synergistic ability to mitigate crime and build relationships. That's my quote, and I believe in that, and I stand by that. That just means that we are able to work together in order to root out crime within our own communities, and even to serve as that buffer. Christina's group has taken an active role in the city of Austin to do that. Please talk to her a little bit more if you want some more information about that emergency vehicle that they have. Christina is a wife, a mother of 3, which 2 of those beautiful children she unselfishly adopted. She is a loving sister to many, fighting in the need of truth. Please stand and give her a hand clap as she comes here.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings. How are you all doing? Good. All right, so I'm going to go on script and off script, okay? So this is new to me. I just kind of say what comes to my heart and mind, but I'm going to go on script. Okay, well. So here are the rules today. This conversation will cover a broad range of issues that matter most to Black and unrepresented citizens of Pfugerville, okay? As well as all other races in the community. In this cup, I have all the provided questions. I will choose a question for each candidate and let them respond. Each candidate will be given equal time of 3 minutes, okay? 3 minutes to present his or her view on the issues discussed. Our timekeeper will raise a yellow card. Go ahead and point, okay? She'll raise a yellow card when you have 30 seconds left to respond, and a red card, show us the red, good. A red card when it's time to stop talking. For the record, the candidates will not be asked to agree or disagree with specific positions or platforms of the Black Pfugerville organizations. As the moderator, I pledge to be completely neutral and will not imply approval or disapproval of the candidates. At the conclusion to our questions, we will have time to meet and greet the candidates and ask questions one-on-one. Okay? So while you're doing that, you can please enjoy the food that the Rolling Rooster has prepared here for us. So allow me to introduce the candidates. First we'll start with Victor Gonzalez. Kind of wave, everyone. He is a lifelong resident of Pfugerville and a graduate of PISD, as well as a graduate University of Texas at Austin. He has served on the city council from 2006 to 2013 and mayor pro tem 2008 to 2013. Give a round of applause for Victor. Welcome. Then we have Brad Marshall. He is a 16-year resident of Pfugerville, happily married to my wife, he says, his wife, right? Okay, of 25 years and a father of 3 kids that have grown up in a local Pfugerville school. And one is now proudly serving in the United States Air Force. Brad has served for the past 5 years on Pfugerville City Council and the past 6 years serving on the City Finance and Budget Committee. Let's give Brad a round of applause. Welcome. Then I have sitting right here, Philip Emiabata. Am I pronouncing your name right? Correct, great, okay. It says attended the College of Aeronautical and Petroleum Engineering in Athens, Greece, as well as attended a 3-year physician assistant course in Philadelphia at the Thompson Institute campus. Philip is a citizen by naturalization for more than 25 years and has been a federal government contractor for more than 25 years as well. Let's give Philip a round of applause. I'm going to move down all the way to my end there. I have Jeff Trevelyan. Raise everyone, please. He is currently a division manager in Austin Code Department at the City of Austin. He is responsible for developing protocols addressing code compliance issues within City of Austin's health, safety, and welfare codes. Jeffrey received his undergraduate degree with honors from Jackson State University and received his master's degree at the University of Texas at Austin, LBJ School of Public Affairs. Welcome. Thank you so much. Let's go next. We have Pat McCord. Give him a round. He is a former Pfugerville City Council member from 99 to 05. In 2003, Pat participated in the effort to lower the property tax rate, and since leaving elected office, Pat has continued to serve Pfugerville on several boards and committees. Pat has resided in Pfugerville since 1985. Pat is semi-retired and from a semiconductor industry. Let's give a round of applause. Welcome. Sitting right next to Pat, we have Ashley Flash Warden. She is a native of Port Arthur, Texas. In 2002, she moved to Austin to attend the University of Texas at Austin. She does work surrounding, but not limited to, social and environmental justice, education and leadership, youth development, immigrant rights, transportation, economic development, affordability, and health and wellness. Currently, she volunteers as a Spanish interpreter, with her most recent endeavor being an interpreter for the World Social Forum in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Awesome. Great. So now, I read all my readings. We're going to go ahead and start with our cards, okay? Shake it up nice. You all ready? We're going to start with our mayor candidates as well. Let's see who will pick this. Let's start with Mr. Victor. The topic, the subject of your question is going to come from job creation, business attraction, okay? So this says, what policies would you leverage to attract newcomers?
I work very closely with the Economic Development Corporation, and as a matter of fact, currently sit on the steering committee as we're beginning to develop a new vision for Pfugerville and economic development. I think it's an opportunity, and I think Mimi was on that steering committee as well. I think it's bringing together a diversity of cultures, a diversity of ideas and businesses to leverage the resources that we have. In terms of policies that a city and that I would certainly implement and strive for, the policies related to businesses that are owned by either black entrepreneurs or underrepresented groups that could couple with developers and development projects within the community as part of that growth, because I think that's imperative.
Thank you. Give it a hand clap. Moving right along, we'll have a question for Brad. Your topic today is community policing, okay? So, a recent article reported by the Austin American-Statesman stated that Pflugerville Police Department had an increased rate of stopping African-American drivers than any other ethnicity. How can we limit racial profiling in law enforcement and build trust in the black community with Pflugerville Police Department?
So, I've spent a lot of time with our police here in Pflugerville, ridden with them in their police cars on probably a half a dozen occasions over the past 2 to 3 years. My belief in my discussion with the community is that we have a tremendous amount of trust between our community and our police force here in Pflugerville. That doesn't necessarily match perhaps other surrounding communities, but in Pflugerville we have a very good relationship between the community and the police. That being said, there are every year a requirement by our police department that they go through a racial profiling course, if you will, to ensure that the best practices that they use every time they stop a person in a motor vehicle, that there is no profiling that is done. I will tell you that I've spoken to the chief of police on multiple occasions and several officers, and I can tell you that and having ridden with them, 9 times out of 10, when they initiate a stop, you can't see who's behind the wheel of the car. You can't see a color, you can't see a gender, you can't see anything when they initiate the stop. So after the stop, certainly they can start to ascertain who it is that they've got stopped. But at the instance when they actually go to turn their lights on and begin to stop, most of the time, I'm like over 90% of the time, they don't even know who it is they're stopping. I was recently on a panel, I was asked to be on a panel down in Austin to speak about community policing. And in fact, Assistant Chief Dixon from the Austin Police Department was sitting there. I was there. There was a member from the NAACP. We were contrasting the difference between Austin police and how they interacted with the public, and Pfugerville police and how they interacted with the public. And I know I'm going to run out of time, but I can tell you that after we spoke, there were 2 different African American women that stood up in the audience and gave us 2 different stories of personal interactions that they and their children had with the Pfugerville Police Department. And both of them, without fail, and I'd love to give you more detail on it, both of them said that they just don't understand how they can have such great interaction and community and relationships with Pfugerville police. And these are people that had similar interactions with the Austin police, but completely different outcomes. And so that told me, coming from a minority representative of the community, that the police department here has to be doing something right.
Our next question goes to Philip and Ivana. The topic is on health and wellness, okay? So the question is, what programs that can be implemented that target health disparities of Black people in the city of Pfugerville, such as diabetes, heart disease, mental illness, and HIV?
Yeah, let me use the opportunity to greet you and the opportunity to bring us here to talk and our view. I have an answer, Yes, we know that the Black people, or mostly the minority here, when it comes to everything, we are always behind. On the health issue, if I am given the opportunity to be a mayor, I will make sure most doctors and nurses here, they volunteer, go to school, go to churches, whereby on Sunday, they go there and then use all this, what they call it, their EKG or their experiment, get their test, their blood tests and everything, show them what to eat and what the good way to eat and other things. So this I will be able to make sure that they will be a volunteer. Those doctors and nurses that live here in Pfugerville, we have opportunity to do this within the community. Go to school, churches, where we get these mostly minority people. Sometimes go to their meeting when they have meeting. Then they go there and teach them the awareness of this social illness which mostly we Black face. When it comes to the HIV, we know again the Black people are mostly higher in these HIV diseases. The same thing, we need to teach them what way to prevent. And then we need to ask ourselves the question, why do we have higher rates on that HIV issue? So through teaching and other things, then we'll be able to ask the government again, both government, federal government and state government, to give us money whereby we can use to help these poor people, because they are the poor people. It is very, very ashamed. We are in the great country in the world. We go to help other people in other countries. I would say sometimes the Americans, we are all hypocrites. We clean the outside of our car, we leave the inside unclean. How can we go to help people, and people here in America, Black people, mostly Black, are so poor white? They are suffering. Why don't we clean the inside of our car before we go and clean the outside? And again, I will use the opportunity to talk about the police. Because as a black, what I have here that they ride with the police. Yeah, that is true. They ride with the police. It's like me, I'm an armed robber. I will tell you to ride with me to go to the bank to see if I will steal. You know, when you ride with me, I'm not going to steal. I'm going to pretend that I'm not a thief. The issue of police is a teething problem facing our minority. And why is this? All this washing the clock, here you say that the statistics, Pfugerville police stop non-black. Why did they stop non-black? If they don't see them, we must try our best before this fire blow out. We must work with the police, treat them, so I'll go on. Thank you very much.
Let's give all of our candidates a round of applause. Now, before we move on to our county commissioners, I want us to think. Now, on the t-shirts of the young ladies, it says Black Pfugerville, then it says Building Black Pfugerville, right? So we're building. This is a great opportunity. So what I want you to do, Amita's going to give us an opportunity to have questions in the audience. Think about the building concept. Listen to what they're saying and just work on those topics that will help us focus on the building. We're going to move on down to Mr. Jeff Trevelyan. I have a question for you, sir. So your topic deals with the indigent care for the elderly, okay? So question, what actions can you take for the care of our senior citizens as it deals with health care and access to programs that target the specific age demographic?
You know, there are several significant pieces of indigent care. You know, one issue is going to be transportation. We have a significant problem that we don't have access to a bus system here. So identifying families where you do have identifying elderly families, working directly with Travis County to make sure that Central Health is coming out and mapping for the community. Part of the problem that you have in the city of Austin is we've got a lot of our elderly community that can't afford its taxes in Austin, and they're moving out further. They're moving out from a system where you do have public transportation. You do have clinics that are close to different parts of town. And when you look at places like Colony Park, for example, in Travis County, which is technically in Austin, in order to get to doctors in the city and you get on the bus, it can take up to 3 or 4 hours. That's not acceptable. So, first of all, we've got to reconsider our transportation process as it exists in Pfugerville, Maynard, touching Elgin, all the way over to Bell Valley. The important thing first is making sure that we have an adequate system of identifying families, knowing where all our assisted care facilities are, not just thinking about getting to the doctor, but also getting to a pharmacy, not just a pharmacy, but being able to get to the grocery store as well. Because some parts of this precinct are a food desert. So to answer your initial question, we've got to sit down with Central Health. We've got to sit down with CE, St. David, and also the UBT Medical Center to specifically plan how they're going to take the significant resources that we're giving to them and build out into the county, particularly Precinct 1, where you'll find more indigent population than almost any place else. We can look at Precinct 4, but Precinct 1, we're riding. So the first thing we have to do is identify those who are giving public dollars to provide indigent care. We need to understand what their plans are. We need to make sure that they're working with Cap Metro to make sure that people get their hand to them. And we also are going to have to look to our nonprofit community to build the types of transportation relationships and opportunities that are necessary to address those families on an individual basis. But I think the first thing that we do is we work with those entities where we pay taxes to address the health needs. We make sure that we are mapping where families are coming because there is a great out-migration from Austin. Austin now has moved close to 7%. The African-American population is close to 7%. But the African-American population in Travis County has not declined. just moving in different places. So we have to make sure that we bring clinics here, we have to make sure that we transport people, and we have to make sure that our dollars are being used wisely. And we think about doing things like the Austin Project has done, co-locating healthcare facilities on school campuses, for example, to address the needs of kids primarily, but that could be expanded to our elderly population as well. So what are our facilities, where are they, and what resources do we have to get access to?
Thank you. Moving right along, we have Mr. Pat McCoy. Let's see, your subject is going to be on public transportation, okay? Question, does Pfugerville need a public transportation system? If so, how would you help in implementing this in Pfugerville?
Well, I think the answer is yes, that Pfugerville does need a public transportation system. Ironically, I was on the city council when we voted out of Cap Metro, and we did that for a reason. Cap Metro, they were taking a tremendous amount of money from the city of Pfugerville to provide bus service, and they would provide 4 buses in the morning and about 6 in the evening, and really all they were doing was taking people from Pfugerville to somewhere else to either work or learn. And during the day, there was no service, so the bus service really didn't serve the population, and it didn't serve the employers, the local employers. People that needed to come here to work couldn't rely on the bus unless they wanted to ride it between 7 and 8:30 in the morning or 4 to 6:30 at night. There was no intermediate availability for the transportation. And for the amount of money that they were taking from us, it just didn't seem that at the time was worthy. But Pfugerville does need to look at the availability of public transportation. I recall listening on the radio today, another one of the local communities just voted out of Cap Metro also. I don't recall which one it was, but their reasoning was the same as ours. It was very expensive and the service was limited. The establishment and framework of a public transportation service is very expensive. The employment, the infrastructure that's required, the equipment that's required to do that, and I really don't know that Pfugerville right now has the financial capability of bringing on something that of their own. But I think that with Cap Metro, an agreement with them should be negotiated. They have a very standard template for implementation of transportation in their community, and I think that with a certain amount of negotiation, that could be done successfully and it could be worthwhile. Another area, the precinct right now, down near Hornsby Bend, they have Cap Metro. It comes to one location down in that area, it picks people up and takes them out of their community. A public transportation system should serve the entire community for the entire day. It should be a reliable transportation system that allows people, even if they work in the evenings or mid shifts, to be able to move to and from their employer with ease.
Right. Mr. Pat McCoy. Okay, Ms. Ashley Flash Gordon, okay? Your subject is going to be on, how ironic, disaster control. Okay, A, your question. How would you implement a natural disaster control plan in Pfugerville, Traverse County, especially dealing with flood disasters?
Well, what I want to say, I think Pat took my question out. I love talking about transportation. But this one for me, it's on, because as they said earlier, I'm from Port Arthur. If you don't know what Port Arthur is, it's on the coast. We are known for hurricanes. Out here, what I've seen, as Sister Christina said, is that we have issues with flooding. And I'm a person that believes in preventative care over curative. We need to stop it before it happens. And so the issue that we've seen in our county, especially we've heard of thoroughbred farms, and we do know about the flooding down there and the people who have died from that flooding. Well, that was a direct result of circular areas. If you are putting concrete over the land that is sucking up the water, then where's the water going to go? It was running off into the neighborhoods, and that's why we got flooding. And so what I recommend is that before we start building, that we actually have to when we're talking to contractors, that they need, developers, they need to have plans for how they are going to send the water to So it won't be going into our neighborhood. So for instance, if you are having retention pools, does everyone know what that is? So we have retention pools. We have that a part of the plan. If we have like biomass retention gardens, that's gonna help absorb the water. So that prevents any type of natural disaster before we even get there. Now, should we get there, because it is possible, because we do live in a place where we have flash floods, we want to have services like Sister Christina's services. This will be our nonprofits. We have our rescue. We know that our EMS is limited with Austin Travis County. We have limited services for rescue, and especially when we're considering monies that is coming from the county, as Jeff stated earlier, that the county actually doesn't have, it has very limited resources. That's why we have to partner with the city of Austin a whole lot. And so we are going to depend on organizations such as Sister Christina's to collaborate with us to be able to go in and help people during flooding. So organizations that do that are such as ATACJ. And so when they had the flooding down in Thoroughbred Farms, the city of Austin did a certain portion, the county did a certain portion, but at the end of the day, they said that there was nothing more that they could do. And so ATX, Environmental Justice, went down, they collaborated. You want to know more about it, you can talk to Mr. Richard Franklin, he was there. But we went down and we actually went to the neighborhoods and cleaned up ourselves. And so that is going to be our best option when we run out of our services from our cities. We need to be collaborating with our grassroots organizations to get our community taken care of.
Ms. Mead, do we have the cards for questions, or how does she want? Yes, if you have any cards, please raise them right now. With your card. If you need any cards, I have more. I believe in Pfugerville Town Hall. Please stand if you would like to read your question. Good. And if you wouldn't mind just introducing us to the card when we stand, and then address it to a representative. And then if any of the candidates want to weigh in, absolutely. Well, it takes a lot of time for everyone to answer, so if you wouldn't mind addressing it, but if someone really has something else to say, let me know, so maybe allocate that time.
My name is Irene Mason, and the question will go to the mayoral candidate, Victor Gonzalez. How will you invest in youth to build them up so they can become involved in the community?
Well, part of my platform is investing in people. And one of the groups is our young people in our community, because we are a growing community. I grew up here when I was 1 year old, and I've been here a long time. So I've seen it from day one. Some of the programs that have been lacking in our city, although we try to do a very good job within the city, are targeted towards youth and youth development, youth leadership. So one of my projects will be the Youth Advocacy Program, which is a model that was established by the Texas Municipal League. I've been a past director of the Texas Municipal League for 4 years. Municipal League is a resource of 1,100 cities throughout the state of Texas. So excellent resource for finding avenues of contacts, resources, and projects. The Youth Advocacy Program, the way I perceive it to affect the city of Pfugerville, will deal with developing leadership first and foremost, because I think we need to target the youth in our high schools to help them develop those leadership skills to become leaders in the community. Secondly, advocacy, where they can be involved in a number of projects in the community, and they can select the projects, whether it has to do with Parks and Rec or senior services, whatever it may be, under the direction of the program, they would be involved in the community and affect those changes as they so choose. Now, it's not a one-time project like the Eagle Scouts project, where you have an Eagle Scout doing a one-time project and then it's over. This is an ongoing program that develops a cyclical process for our young people in our schools to be able to participate in city government and see that the city leadership and municipal development of services to our young people, as well as giving back to our young people. And
So, being It's probably very obvious. And so,
I'm gonna have a response.
So I want to talk about how, so I'm the co-chair of the Travis County Green Party. And one of the programs that I'm implementing now is a city training program for college students. We have the belief that you have to be of a certain age in order to be involved in city, county, state government. And so there are age limits, but they're not as high as we believe they are. So for instance, I went to go speak to Houston Tillotson to a political science class in the spring. And these students are only 10 years younger than I am. And when they looked at me, they were like, oh, you know, you're this person you're running for office, and we could never do that. And I'm like, no, I'm only 10 years older than you. And there are some other people in the Green Party in different parts of the country who are even younger than I am that are running. I said, this is not about your age, it's about your experience. What do you have to offer? Do you care about your community? Do you care about community engagement and development? That means that you are capable of doing this job. And so my program is to help people who are younger, millennials, as we were talking about earlier, is to help millennials understand that we do have a responsibility, and that responsibility goes beyond as just voting. A lot of people don't vote because there's nobody to vote for. And so if we actually actively train people for these jobs and not just hope that someone's going to come across it, or if they have certain, you know, your resume is great, but it doesn't mean that you're going to be qualified just because you have a great resume and you're running for a certain position. And so we want them to actually actively be, what is the bond? A lot of people don't even know what that is. And yet in Austin, we have to vote on a $720 million bond. And a lot of people that are my age and younger don't understand why that is such a big issue. And some of them are homeowners. And so that's the program that I'm implementing, is that people that are in my age group and younger can understand what city government looks like, and that this is for us too. This is our town, this is our county as well. And nobody can represent us the way that we can represent ourselves. So that's the program I have for our youth.
Okay, being the old people. Okay.
Please let me know. Let me know before you start. I have respect for my elders.
See, I have family in Port Arthur too. But the thing about living more than 50 years and raising 3 children in this community, I can tell you, there are some important things that we have to do, because when I moved here in 95, 96, we had what, 2,300 people in the city limits, and now we are over 56,000. And we still have the same one gymnasium right next to Evangel Lucan, you know what I'm talking about. We've got a lot of kids, and kids have a lot of needs, but we have to go to where they are to address their needs. I think that we're going to have to develop a robust and effective set of after-school programs here to keep our kids, because I've not had a job in 20 years where I've gotten off work before 5 o'clock. You know, we need, and a lot of our parents work downtown. So we've got to have safe places where our kids can stay after school, do their homework, get an extra meal, and participate in activities around, whether it's playing soccer, basketball, football, whether it's playing in the band. Band is a huge thing around here. And some of these things we are not going to be able to do on budget. The county should have a role in work-based learning. It does. It pays for summer jobs for kids 15 and older. It's a project that we work on with the city of Austin. That needs to be expanded through Austin Interfaith and organizations like that. But on a day-to-day basis, we need to make sure that our kids have a safe place to be until we get home. We need to make sure that our kids have tutors and mentors to help them do their homework and complete it every day so they don't fall behind. And then when they get to 15 and we start talking about work-based learning, they are prepared to move forward and prepared to work. We're also going to have a conversation about what's going to happen with ACC here. Because if my daughter lived in my mother-in-law's house in Austin, she would pay $300 for her course this semester. her course this summer when she was home. Because she lives with me here, I pay $900. Okay? So I have 2.5 jobs. I can do that. Every family cannot, in particular they are younger families. We had, I think it was 5 or 6 kids who graduated from LBJ High School and ACC at the same time. And we don't have those opportunities available for our kids, and we must. Now, maybe it's not ACC immediately, but maybe it's Capital Idea co-located at Pfugerville High or at Henderson High. It is making sure that they have access to job training, transportation is going to be a huge part of that. But we've got to start with our little kids, keeping them in safe places, giving them enrichment and learning opportunities. So I think that means targeting Title I classes. And then making sure that work-based learning is available for them at 15. And I think that is, and having places for them to have recreation as well. One rec center is not enough. So we've got to have a better use of our public school, of our public schools used as community centers. Because when you pay taxes for them, we should be able to use them and not pay an arm and a leg like some of our youth organizations have to do right now. We got to do a better job.
Okay, so we're building, right? We're building.
Anthony Wynn, my question's simple. Do you think our taxes are too high? And probably everybody agrees, so if you do think they're too high, what would you do to help alleviate them? What policies would you implement?
I'll answer that. Is that okay? So, over the past almost 6 years, 5.5 years that I've been on the city council, one of the main reasons that I got on was because of our tax rate. Every year for the last 10 years, except for one, we've lowered the city's tax rate. We knew back when I joined council, back when Victor was on council, that in order to change the perception of Pfugerville just being a bedroom community that was fraught with high taxes, that in order to pay for city services and lower the tax rate, we had to get businesses out built along 130 and 45 and other locations. Those businesses improve our sales tax. So over the past several years, we've actually turned a huge corner with bringing in more commercial businesses and more sales tax into the city. It was about 3 years ago that for the first time ever, our actual sales tax revenue for the city actually surpassed our property tax income for the city. Because we've been lowering our property tax so much and our sales tax has been going up. Now specifically to your question about do we still think it's too high? Absolutely. I think our tax rate is still too high. But the math to make it better still means we have to bring in more good businesses, good jobs, more commercial growth. But let's contrast us to Round Rock. We have about $7 million worth of sales tax revenue that we brought in this past year. Round Rock's not that much bigger than us. They're ahead of the curve for sure, but they're not near the number that I'm about to tell you. We brought in $7 million in sales tax. Round Rock brought in $46 million in sales tax revenue. So when people look at places like Round Rock and think, well, gosh, Round Rock can do it, and they can pay for all this stuff. Yeah, when you have I-35 corridor with all that businesses and sales tax revenue coming in, and you've got Dell, yeah, they've got the gorilla in the room. We're not there. We're behind. We might get there, but the only way that we're going to do it is to continue to encourage businesses that bring in strong jobs and strong sales, just like last week when Costco was announced to come into Pfugerville. That's a huge win. Living spaces that's going to be built out along the toll road on 45, 650,000 square feet of a furniture store that, as far as its impact on city services, is next to nothing. Police don't have to go there, fire don't have to go there. We have sinks and bathrooms and things like that. So anyway, the sales tax revenue, new businesses is what's gonna lower our property taxes.
We'll hear from Philip and then we'll hear from
Yeah,
one more time commissioner.
The problem I really have with many of my colleagues here, they say they've been city council for many years and all. One of the problems that we know, high tax is a job killer. And what have they done for those many years? Here I'm hearing that, Roundup, Roundup have more business to me, they are having coming more money. The more you have more money, the more you spend. So what is wrong for many years? Pfugerville being the highest tax people compared to the other location. Then there's something wrong there. And what is wrong there? Have we looked at how they spend the money, how they contract out? If we look into those things, maybe we'll find where the problem is. It has nothing to do because we are on this thing. It has something to do with those people who have been sitting in this council. They should know that if other people can make it, we should make it. You can't bring jobs, you can't bring housing. High tax is a killer. When you work hard to lower your tax, this is a lower economic environment. Then many people will come and job will come in. That should have been their first priority and policy. Why is it still so high? If I be the mayor, I will go into every contract the contract have and see wasting. Maybe there's a lot of wasting going on here. And when we save those wasting, maybe we can be able to lower our tax and lower the property tax, and this will bring more job to the city.
Thanks, Brett. We'll hear from Ashley. So, just to follow up what Mr. Brett was saying, that it's the same in the county. We don't have any control over what happens in the city, but with the county, you're going to get money from property taxes, but also from commerce. And so, Travis County doesn't have an issue attracting commerce. Travis County's issue is that the commerce that is attractive, they get tax breaks. And those tax breaks don't even come with incentives, such as we incentivize you, if we give you a moderate tax rate, you are telling us that you are going to hire local people to work at your business instead of importing everybody. We have seen corporations such as Apple import people to build the business, then also import the people to work at the business. And so, but they get a tax break. So how is it that we're giving tax breaks to people who are not even doing anything for our community? And so it's as simple as saying that if you're going to have any type of tax break, if you're a corporation, it has to be incentivized with you giving jobs to people, to local people. And then you need to pay taxes. You don't get a tax break on your property taxes. They make you pay your property taxes. And so just the way that we are forced to pay property taxes, those companies need to be forced to pay, and that will help not put so much pressure on homeowners in the county, or we won't be going complaining that we don't have money for anything. We would have money for other things if we actually tax the entities that can afford to pay the money.
A lot of things you said, I agree with. The problem that we have as a county is we don't have the same land use authority that cities do. Cities have, through zoning and planning and development standards, they have the ability to do more. And what we are left with is the ability to influence through the type of vehicle that we use to fund the development of the land. So if the county owns property and the county wants that land developed, the types of bonds that it sells in order to develop that land can allow us to dictate more what can and cannot be done. So we need to build up our land use team in the county attorney's office. We need to make sure that we are looking at all the bonding vehicles so that we are using the right ones. So that when we build the road, that we make sure that the private interest will maintain that road and vice versa. So that we ask for certain types of development to happen because of that. We are now the preferred development district that Round Rock was 10 years ago. Because and what it made us prefer was 130. So what we have to make sure of is that we develop clean things that are sustainable, that are going to create the types of jobs that we want to have. The jury's out because we don't have the zoning authority that Round Rock had. We don't have the zoning authority that the City of Austin has. Then that means that we're going to have to work as a community to identify the things that we want and identify the types of developers that will provide them, and then talk to the county commission about what you want. I mean, at the end of the day, commissioners will operate in the blind unless you talk to them. They're being approached by lobbyists, they're being approached by developers, but if you don't identify the things that you want and the places that you want them, you're going to be the only person left out of the conversation. So you need to think about regularly coming down to the county commissioner's office, coming down to the former Chase Bank building right there at 8th and Lavaca, and talking about what it is you want, and asking for meetings from your county commissioner in your community, and being involved with what goes on the day-to-day. That's the only way that your voices are going to be heard. The people, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. The people who make themselves available and petition are the people who get what they want.
Sister Christine, can I add something?
Okay, we'll take the last one.
Okay, just to answer the question, yes, your taxes are too high. It is, when I was on the city council in Pfugerville, we started the initiative to try to year-on-year lower the tax rate. Just because the county or on the city council, we lower the tax rate doesn't mean your taxes go down, because your appraised taxable value goes up. So it just means it's not going to go up as much. The same is true in the county. I moved here many years ago and bought a home. My tax rate as declared by the county has gone down 2 or 3 times. My taxes I pay have doubled since I've lived here to the county. And well, I would say the county and the school district and all of the other people that take a bite, everybody takes a bite out of it. In the world of taxes and the way that the county government works, for me, coming out of business, the purpose of a business is to make money, and when you do things that don't generate money, you stop doing them. The county doesn't do anything to make money other than collect taxes, fees, and so forth. So the money that they have to spend, they took from you. So they should listen to you the most when they decide how to spend it. And I've talked about this a number of times, is that there needs to be a very concerted effort to take that county budget, break it down to as many small pieces as possible, and find the things that aren't bringing benefit to the citizens. The money that they take from you should be spent on things that affect you the most, that improve your quality of life, improve the way you live in the area where you live. It's easy in Austin, when they talk about a new development in an area, to extend the resources, the utilities and the water and wastewater, because there's so much surrounding developed infrastructure. Out here in the county, in the precinct that we're going to represent, that's not as easy. If you want to send a 2 30-inch wastewater or water lines out towards the colony or Hornsby Bend or some other place like that, it's a tremendous amount of money because there's no infrastructure around it. And the reason why they don't want to do that is because they don't have enough rooftops or businesses to support the cost of that infrastructure. It all comes in kind of a natural process. I know that, and going out and talking to people in the Hornsby Bend area, they are deadly concerned about the gentrification of East Austin and all of the people who have been pushed into their area, and that their area is going to continue to grow and they're not going to be able to afford to live there anymore. The very thing that they want, the big box stores and the large supermarkets and shopping areas, those are the very things that create the growth in their area that raises their taxes, because of the expensive cost of building the roads and the infrastructure to support the things that they want. It's almost a never-ending painful cycle. But to answer the question one more time, your taxes are too high. 3 or 4 times when I was on the city council in Pfugerville and we talked about taxing issues, there were people in the crowd that would gladly stand up and say, I don't pay enough taxes, you could double my taxes because I really want you to build another swimming pool. I don't think they know what they mean. Yes, your taxes are too
we're gonna go ahead and let Victor answer this last one, and then we're gonna move on, okay?
Yeah, real quick, taxes are like balancing your budget at home. It's how much money you have and how much you have to spend it on, and how you collect it, particularly in the city. And while I've been on city council for the last 9.5 years lowering taxes, and every chance I get, I'll lower taxes, but you also have to look at what those taxes are gonna pay for. Law enforcement, public safety makes up over 45% of the budget. As a city, as we're growing, we're at 57,000, we're gonna be at 75,000 in the near future. Are we gonna be able to sustain that tax level, that tax rate? I would like to see it go down. I think we have 3 ways to do that, and that is through the Economic Development Steering Vision Committee that can help develop projects and economic development programs that will bring those footprints, that will bring jobs, that will bring, particularly ad valorem taxes, that will help that cash flow and bring the taxes down. Secondly, is that we have to be careful. As Flash here said, we don't need to necessarily incentivize developers and projects in our community, because we've done that in the past. And yes, I will admit that I did that back in 2006 with Stonehill, when we invested $14 million as a part of our share. But look what it gave us. It gave us an economic boom to this community. So we have to look at what is our return on that investment of those tax dollars. We have to be careful, because you as citizens are having to pay those tax dollars along with the school district, the hospital district, ESD. And if we look at ACC, as Jeff mentioned, there's another potential tax right there. Are we ready for that? Are we willing to make that investment?
Great, thank you. All right, moving along.
So we're identifying ourselves. My name is Richard Franklin. I'm a resident of Del Valley, more precisely the Hornsby Bend area that has over 10,000 people already. It's an area of 172 square miles with 1 bus line at the high school that comes in twice a day. None into the Hornsby Bend area, and no major grocery stores anywhere. That's just who I am. This is for the 3 county commissioners, running the county commissioners. The juvenile justice system in Travis County is disproportionately made up of people, young people, of black and brown children. Precinct 1 has more than double the amount of all the other precincts combined. Precinct 1 also has more SROs per capita in their schools than all the other precincts combined. As a county commissioner, you have oversight of juvenile justice. What role do you see yourself playing in addressing, mitigating, reversing, and eventually fixing this disparity? And what promise will you make to this community that we can hold you accountable to if you're elected?
Now, let me just say this real quickly. We're gonna only hear from 3, okay? I'm gonna be addressing the 3.
Give us the 3 commissioners.
The 3.
The commissioners.
The commission, okay, great.
All right, so, to answer your question, Mr. Franklin, this is work that I've already started. I'm an educator, I love kids, and I see the issue that he's talking about. I've gotten to spend time out in Austin's Colony and some of the other underrepresented areas. And our issue always comes down to the reason why our kids, so we're talking about the juvenile justice system, the reason why our kids end up in that system is because we talked about them not having after-school programs, nothing to do, especially out if you're in Austin's Colony. If you even look at the map that Cap Metro has, all of the services for Cap Metro run north to south, and in the central part of town, they never even reach out there. So the kids, even in the summertime, they can't get into town to do stuff. And so they're bored teenagers, you know, and they're mischievous, you know. And so it's up to us to supply things for them to do. So for instance, this summer I had the esteemed honor of having an art class out there. It's called the Art Meisters. And so what it is, it teaches visual and performing arts to kids in underserved areas who typically don't have connections to that, because in school they don't think art is important in school anymore. And so that means that we have to make it important. And so I did art classes in Austin's Colony and in Austin, and we are looking to do them here in Pfugerville and then out in Manor as well. I have mentoring, there are mentorship programs. I don't know if y'all know much about Mr. Franklin, but he has Youth Unlimited, where we've been in schools like Eastside Memorial, dealing with them, the issues that they actually have. Because again, kids, I taught Spanish at a high school in Port Arthur, And all of my students, it always came down to the same thing, is that they don't have people to listen to them. They're dealing with stuff that the education system is not addressing, no one at home is addressing them, and so they act out. And so if we are addressing the issues that are pertinent to them, such as, are you getting food to eat? What's going on at home with your parents? If you're talking about those issues and then you're giving them a way to cope, just like we need coping mechanisms, then they're not going to end up in the juvenile justice system. And so, and if you talk to Judge Yvonne Williams, who is over Precinct 1, she says the same thing. And so that's going to be up to us to have those kind of programs. And so that's the kind of program that I already use structures with. I've worked with like Pfugerville with cartoons and cereal. And so that's the promise that I can make to you as a commissioner, is to continue to develop the programs that I have already started.
Moving right along.
All right. Yes, to answer the question, I have to start off with saying I almost feel like if you live in Pfugerville, we live in a bubble. Now, we've heard in a couple of other forums that some people think that it's not as nice as we think it is in Pfugerville. There's things that aren't seen by everybody. But I have a lot of personal conversational relationships with many, many families of color, thousands of children of color. I take their pictures every year in football, basketball, and baseball, and I associate with these kids. I spend a lot of time in schools doing different types of work, and I think that white, black, brown, or other, there's a lot of really great kids in Pfugerville, and I don't see this problem that is bigger than our community. Now running for commissioner and going down into areas, I do see people that, and not necessarily just the color, I see people in areas doing things that I question. All you have to do, hanging out right there, is get in trouble. You're not going to do anything to get in trouble. I think SROs in school are a good thing. I think the more that we acquaint kids with police officers and let them have, again, an association, a conversational relationship with police officers, breaks down that barrier of, if it comes to a point in time where that child is challenged by a police officer, that they don't have a reflexive action that they learned off of television primarily, or off of the social media. I think I learned my biggest lesson about this topic when we were doing the community forum in Manor, and a lady stepped up. I didn't have her name here in my notes. A lady stepped up in the forum, and she said, "This problem starts at home." She said, if your children are talking back to you at home, they're talking back to their teachers, they're talking back to people in public. If they don't respect you at home, they don't respect their teachers at school and authority, they don't respect people in public. And that if you don't start to manage the issue in the home, that issue will propagate itself and create a problem. Now, she didn't get criticized for that. I repeated that a couple of times. I've gotten harshly criticized for saying that. But in the household that I lived in, I lived by my father's rules every day. I lived under his roof of the house, and I respected him and my mother and all of my superiors. And I'm a yes sir, yes ma'am, no sir, no ma'am type person. And I think that a lot of the issues that we see with the influence of the criminal justice system and so forth are not enough frequency of those children that are being affected by this being acquainted with and associated with the day-to-day function of the community and the policing of the community and the authority figures.
Right.
That is a complicated question. There is no one answer to it. I think it starts with prevention. I think the earlier that we get involved in kids' lives, whether it, part of it is after-school programs, part of it is putting people around them that kids can relate to. As an NAACP president, I was called to look in on a kid one day, 4th grader, straight-A student, through December. One December, he just loses all interest in school, and is angry when he comes to school, talking back where he never talked back. They were going to put him in special education, but we knew a person named Dr. Gene Spencer, who was the last person that you had to talk to. before you were placed in the special ed. She talked to the child and figured out his mother was dying of cancer. So, how do we engage kids? Where do we engage kids? What is it, you know, sometimes we ask schools to do the things that they don't have the mechanisms to do. And when that happens, community has to step in. That's when we ask for parent specialists in our school districts. That's when we serve on our campus advisory committees. There's no one answer. What types of things can you commit to? I can commit to supporting after-school programs. I can commit to supporting work-based learning programs. I can commit to supporting programs like JP1's program that has family parent training and involvement. Prairie View is the foremost institution doing that and does a fabulous job. I can support that. When I leave here, I'm going there to support that program at JP1. I can support Constable Ballesteros' program where he trains kids. First of all, he helps kids get into scouting programs, and he targets minority kids. And he'll take some of those kids into an explorers program, and he will teach them how to interact with officers. He'll teach them what the protocols are, and he's nurtured some of these kids up through Eagle Scout. You know, and I took them to my vacation Bible study class to talk to a group of parents just like this, and I had mothers who listened to what he was saying to them about teaching them to interact with officers, helping them understand his protocols. He signed up 5 kids at that time. So how do we do? It's no one thing. It's working in the schools. It's engaging our community. It's some of our community engaging to spend the extra time that's necessary to serve on the campus improvement team. Because a lot of the things that happen at the campus level are talked about. I'm Baptist, forgive me.
That's absolutely right. So yes, we'll have our next one. And let me just say, I believe our children are our future. Teach them well and what? Let them lead the way. That's what's important about this. Next.
I'm going to ask our gentleman in the back and then our sister in the front.
Yeah, my name is Ron Cruz, and I'm here in Pfugerville. Been here for now like 7 years. And basically, what I want to know, one of the things that drew me to Pfugerville was that neighborhood feel. You know, like the neighborhood community feel. It's like, it definitely doesn't feel like Ron. Definitely doesn't feel like Cedar Park. We looked at Circle C, we looked at all these different places. We looked at Pfugerville, we chose Pfugerville intentionally because of that feel. So now with all the development that's going on, and all the businesses that are coming in, I understand that it's, from sales tax, and I understand the thinking behind it. I just want to know if there's any thought being put into trying to maintain that neighborhood feel at the back end of that, you know, like, is this something that you guys are considering when you guys are making all these deals and, you know, negotiations or whatever?
Great question. We'll go to 2, okay? Tap 2. Okay. That's fine.
So, first of all, let me start by saying that the growth that's going on as far as the businesses, even though we're talking about how important those are, we can't stop that growth. So that when 130 and 45 came through Pflugerville, businesses were going to find it and they're going to figure out that people are moving here and they want to be where the rooftops are. And so when we're talking about the businesses, what we're talking about is guiding the right businesses, right? Okay, so I grew up in a small town, 1,100 people was the population. When I moved to Pflugerville, the population was 12,000. I would love for Pflugerville to stay small, quaint, and personal. But knowing that we can't stop the growth, but guide the growth, now what do we do to address your concern? I believe that all of the community festivals, the farmers market, the National Night Out, all those types of community-wide programs or events, I think are hugely important, and we should never let those types of things go away, if not grow on. I think the fact that they become, almost expected every year, Deutschenfest, that parade and the carnival and whole weekend. I think it's something that so many people look forward to. I think Chili Fest, when it happens in October, people look forward to that. They look forward to shutting down Main Street and having a live band out there, and just walking around with their friends and neighbors. I think National Night Out. I think when we continue to set records of block parties, I believe we're up near, we're still a month away approximately from National Night Out, and we already have almost 100 registered block parties throughout the community. And those block parties are nothing but neighbors coming out and sitting in their driveways or sitting in their cul-de-sacs. On my street alone, they shut down part of the street. We actually have to have the police there just to manage traffic. There's a bounce house, there's the fire truck comes, they're serving free hot dogs, they're serving free popcorn. Those are just community type events that I think that we have to make sure that we always cultivate and we always allow them, and we always encourage them. And as leaders, those that are elected, they're part of it. Don't just say it. Put your money where your mouth is. Go get involved with those different events and be seen and shake hands and be a part of the community. Don't just sit back and kind of regulate the city with votes. Be a part of it.
Yes.
Right.
So what I said that the reason I moved on to Pfugerville is almost the same reason, you know. I used to live in a now before. Then I didn't want to live in a railroad. I want to stay in a different place because we know the issue of a South or American. I said, oh. So when I came to Pfugerville, it's a community of everybody there. But now I'm questioning Pfugerville start moving towards William County. They are living there. Travis alone. There are a lot of areas they should announce here in Travis. It's like they are trying to Jeremiah the system. Why are they moving towards more into rural and leave the people very close to them? Why don't they announce that? So this is one thing I'm really troubled about. So if we could announce people near us to us, because we are part of Travis, then why are we moving to that William County where we don't really belong? So this is, if I am given the chance, this is what I will look into. And again, the important thing, we should be the culture. That's important. But again, we should not try to announce or go into more area which you will have, that we say they want to have people, more people of, who are not, I would say, the white people more in that area, leaving these people here where we have a lot of the Latinos, blacks, and all. So if we do that, then and keep the culture, these people will still be what I like. And secondly, I will come into what they say about the child. Oh, we blame the children from home because the child become more stubborn. We are here in Pfugerville, what we have now. The bus service was taken, the public bus service was taken out without having alternative. And who is using that public service? They are the minority. Why did they take that public bus service away? And then not have alternative. And here again, you will blame the children who maybe the mother doesn't have a car in the house. We know everything about how everything had the issue of the minority had a start from beginning. Then we talk about ACC. Who goes to that ACC? It's a minority who goes there. Why don't they make that their first priority to help this child who comes from a poor home and with the system, no matter how we talk, the system is always stuck against the black or the minority. But that we shouldn't allow that to tie us down. We should move ahead and move ahead. With the system, we have person like Obama. But for you to point hand to the child who comes from a poor home and say, yeah, that is why everything stopped. No, we must first of all remove the log in our eyes before talking about those children who grew up in a poor home.
Thank you, sir. Yes.
Yeah, so I have a picture right here. If you wouldn't mind standing up a little on it all, and then addressing it to the dancing.
A.K. Brewer, and I have two questions. One is extremely quick and one comment. My first question is really a one-word answer for anybody and everybody since we're short on time. We're talking, I hear you talking, this is all great, but you're still talking to me in abstract, okay? The changes are black people and brown people and Asian people coming, well, the change is here. So hence Black Pfugerville. And being one of ethnicity, just so you know, we speak with passion. I'm not angry. So, hey, so my voice is a little high. It's like I'm excited. That's the caveat. Boy, you guys are a tough crowd. But this is what I want to do. Your question. For transportation here, what do you recommend? No, we're in a bubble because we're different. Look at our geographical and environmental locations. People forget that from what we are. Look at the history. We're talking about old money, new money, and we're looking at traditions. That's different from us and different from around. So that's the reality of all the differences that we have. Just speak plain English. You're talking to the people who are the community leaders. Communicate on how to get the people who are not here. That's what we need to work on. What do you think works best for the transportation? Is it going to be rail? Is it going to be bus? Is it going to be a gondola? That's just my thing. I don't know. I'm just saying. What do you think? Now my question, this is more personal. Since Black Pfugerville is here, and I am one of ethnicity, my question is specifically for Pat and Brad. And you know why. Okay? You know why you're here. You're the only white person in the family. So my thing is this. You're telling us how we can do this and how we can do that, and we're telling ourselves, how can we, as Black Pfugerville, as Brown Pfugerville, light-skinned Pfugerville, whatever you want to call it, how can we talk to City Council? How can we talk to Travis County? And what resources, what divisions, what agencies, what departments, what personnel? So you're saying, yeah, we have resources. Well, we need to know what those resources are because we're building. And not just Black Pfugerville, but all of us, as individuals, as parents, as business owners, as consultants, we're building. And for example, Black holidays. Well, you've never had the question asked to you, do you support it? Because Blacks have never galvanized enough to come to you. Well, they're here now, so you're gonna be faced with that. So you tell me, as a person, what forms do I fill out? So you don't have to ask all of that now, but you know we're coming, right? And some of us are here. So tell us what to do so that we can come correct. I don't want to play the games because then you make us mad. Then there's a movie. You understand what I'm saying? People aren't real, so I want real conversation. I don't want all the operational nonsense. Tell me direct. You don't have to do it now, but I'm just saying, reach out to us, okay? We're realizing that we do have power. Our votes will count, okay? Pat, I want to say first of all, Pat, he was telling the truth. I know how we feel. I know how I feel. Pat has offered tutoring, photography tutoring to my daughter and other Black children, and he's been legitimate. So for that, I thank him, and I want to do it openly because people don't do that, don't think him enough. He's one of the underdogs we don't see out there in the community. Just FYI, I want to thank him. Brad, I like your sense of humor. I think it's great. You're smart, and you have a sense of humor, and that's pretty good on city council. Just thank you for your time.
All right, good question.
I can answer, I'll take the transportation part last, and I'll take the question. I told somebody just before I left to come over here, at breakfast over the deli, I said I was coming to attend this Black Pfugerville. It's been on my Facebook page. And I've had people send me messages that say that if I don't come, I'm racist, and that if I do come, I'm racist. So,
Welcome to my world.
and I can tell that I've heard AK speak and she's excited about something, so she was very calm just
But always smooth.
Yeah. You know, and she said, we're here. And speaking of the Black community, we're here. Black has been in Pfugerville for a very long time. There's a cemetery that testifies to that. And the colored edition. Again, when I was on the city council, I put out a map because somebody wanted to buy the area and develop it. And there was a lot of pushback from families that lived over there, and families that represented in that area. And I have never received the backlash in a community that I had when I put a piece of paper out there and I called it the colored division. And I said, you have to go talk to those families because they are proud of that label. They want to be respected for that label. What you do, you've done it. I think the formation of Black Pfugerville is important. I think it's a great step. Again, if you look at our community, Pfugerville as a community within Travis County, I think we're probably one of the most diverse with the Asian population, the Black population, the white population, the Hispanic population. So forming Black Pfugerville, I think, is a very natural thing, and I'm glad to see it here. But you also ask the question, what do you do? How do you get in front of the city council? How do you get? You have to become a group. You have to be an organization with a voice that people recognize. Here we are today on this panel talking about Black Pfugerville. Look at the audience. Okay, other than the people that have to be here, who's here? Now, there are a lot of people from the Black community here that know about Black Pfugerville and want to be here and listen to what all these candidates that are going to hopefully serve in office and spend their tax money and direct their city affairs. More of the community, Black, brown, white, have to be engaged in government. I go to Parks and Rec Commission meetings. I go to silly things like the band and football booster meeting. I haven't been a booster member for 18 years. I haven't missed a meeting hardly in 10 years because that connects me to the part of the community that I do volunteer service work in and part of my business. But on the football boosters this year, there is not, well, there's one, Mr. Tilke. There's one Anglo person represented on that. The entire organization for the last 3 years has been more successful as an organization in the school system than it has ever been fundraising-wise, organization-wise, activity-wise. It is totally run by African-American women. So I think that there's a power there, and I think that there's an ability to represent yourself there, but you have to do what you've done. You have to kind of create a name for yourself. You have to create that organization. You have to become a number, and then you have to regularly represent yourself on the Chamber of Commerce, at the city council meetings, at the school board. You have to be out there. You will be heard. And I support Black holidays. Transportation, we may have to re-enter Capital Metro to solve it. I don't think the city has the funds to establish its own transportation system. I'd love to see like that.
All right, what we're gonna do, let's go ahead and let Brad respond to it, and then we have another question in the back, okay? So we'll get to you. Go ahead.
So, let me start by saying that little town that I grew up in, that 1,100 people, I was a minority. Believe it or not, in South Texas, on a border town, I was a minority all through my 12 years of school. And so, I don't see color as differently as perhaps some people do. I have people that I know that live in Cedar Park and Leander and other places that don't understand the full grasp of gosh, your kids are going to school in Pfugerville. Is it tough with as diverse as it is? And no, it's not tough for our kids to go to school here. I love our kids going to school here. I've got 3 kids growing up going through school here. Again, as a minority, when I grew up, I don't see the differences in colors like other people do. And I think that you ought to look at some of our history, at least my history. I'm sure do you know Rudy Mateo? Okay, if you still go to his Facebook page today, you'll see pictures of me with his shirt on and his sign trying to get him elected to our city council. I proudly, with my daughter, stood outside of a polling location holding his sign up. I don't see it as a color issue. I love Rudy because he ran against me at one point.
And I was wrong.
And Rudy and I became close, and we became friends, and I wanted to see him do more in the community, and so that next year, I stood out and held signs trying to get him elected. I want to see more diversity on the city council with someone from the African American community. I will say that I feel like it's been relatively diverse from a Hispanic. We've got a woman, we've got white, we've got actually another Hispanic, Omar Pena. I would like to see another, after Scarlett terms out this next year, perhaps another woman would want to run, so we continue to have a female voice on the council. But I would love to have a continued representation of not just Black Pfugerville, but the historically underserved, like we've talked about before. The Asian community. I don't know that we've ever had an Asian on our city council.
Excuse me, let me be that a few minutes. Yes, we hear that, yes, I have a friend who is Black. Yeah, we know all this. That doesn't matter. What have you moved as a system to better this, the minority, mostly Black? Since you have been there, what the activity have you done that will foster better those people like the boss, ACC? Why should ACC, the boss, be taken away? And again, we're talking about the Black cemetery or the Colorado cemetery. They have been here for long. Why did they leave it that the way it is? If you hear we are trapping her because yes, we are this, why did the police here stop more black than the white? You don't have to be a friend, have anything. No, what are you doing to foster the betterness of those minorities, the Black? What have people done in the system? Even you look at what they call it, I was talking about the Pfugerville Council. Why don't we even have Black here? In the police system, how many Black do you have in the police? We must start to do this thing to better us. We treat ourselves equal. It doesn't matter. Yes, you can have a Black friend. It doesn't matter, but let's see what we do to better to help those Black people or those Spanish or the minority. That is what I'm after. Not to be a friend.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and move to our question. We have a question in the back.
I'm sorry, yeah, first.
Back up.
Right here.
And now I'm after him. I'm after him. So, this gentleman right here, and then Chuck, and then we have our friend over there. So go ahead. And we're going to have short answers, if that's okay, because we do want to make sure that the community gets this, okay?
I'll do better than that. I'll do better than that. Actually, give a short question first. So here you go. First, my name is Greg Warren. I am a 14-year resident of Pfugerville, father of a 10-year-old daughter here. I think my question is tied to a lot of the combination of questions and discussions we've been having thus far. Tax reform, justice reform, then more importantly, community support. And my question is, I've heard a dance around this, but I want to find out, what are your envisions for the increased tax on my educational system? Here's what I'm concerned about. I see Pfugerville falling behind surrounding areas. You see Round Rock having schools that are dedicated to STEM systems. You see Round Rock having schools that are dedicated to robotics and programming. So when we have this influx of tax incentives and tax bases, what is your vision for actually having Pfugerville have schools that will basically eliminate a lot of the issues that we're having by having an educational system that is properly training our children, empowering our children for a global workforce, and then more importantly, preparing them for the next steps in life. So if you could take some time to figure out and talk about how you envision our current tax system, focusing to Pfugerville specifically, then more importantly, increasing our educational system. Because what I want to find out to do is, Round Rock has kind of started to hold its hat on being the sports capital of Texas. They've invested money and time in facilities, programming, and promotion. I would love for Pfugerville to do the same thing from an education standpoint. But for my question is, what is your vision for increasing our special educational programs in the Pfugerville area?
I can respond that with two answers. One is I was a member on the Education Foundation, Pfugerville Education Foundation president for 2 years, and actually some of the funding that came through economic development got channeled through the foundation to high schools for the STEM programs in specific. So as part of the visioning committee steering committee for economic development in the future, we need to address corporate campuses, economic development developers to be able to invest through a facility or a tool like the Education Foundation to get those monies to get that training in the schools for STEM in particular. And second but not least, we're talking about Pfugerville getting behind. We are the last holdout of ACC. We really need to tackle that moving forward and develop a project and program to make that a realization.
Awesome. We go ahead and go down.
Okay. First thing is we have to talk to the folks that are already here. Manor has a high-tech center because Samsung is here, and Samsung specifically worked with them. We have to reach out to Samsung and talk about how they can assist the schools that are here in this district. Round Rock has gotten ahead so much because Dell is there, and they've engaged there. We need to engage Dell as well. And then we also need to think about corporate entities that want to come in. We need to specifically ask them what they're going to do to assist our programs, whether it is teacher training, so that our teachers are talking to our kids about what they need to know to work there, developing internship, direct internship programs that our children can work at beginning at 15. I think that you have to engage the folks that are here. You have to specifically build programs.
No, I hear you on that, and I apologize for re-asking my question, but what I'm hearing is a lot of, we're waiting to, or we're trying to. We are community-based, and we have tax dollars, and we have our children that are going to school here. What are we currently doing, and what can we continue to do right now? I understand definitely Round Rock has a head up with Dale being there. I actually work for Dale, so I understand the community involvement and the advantages that they give. But with that said, though,
I can answer that directly.
Okay.
What are we doing? I've already started meeting with Samsung, and they've already talked about training our kids and working directly more in our school district. I'm a member of 100 Black Men. I'm the vice president for mentoring. Where we're mentoring now is Garcia and LBJ. We need to expand into this community and work in Pfugerville as well. But it takes more people to do that. We're doing what we have the capacity to do now. We're identifying and encouraging mentors. We're trying to find African American men inside the school district, at the university, inside the corporate community, inside the nonprofit community. You have to build your capacity and be able to execute what it is you ask for.
All right, this is Ashley, and then we're going to move on to our next question.
I just wanted to follow up with that a little bit. I think part of the problem, because I've worked with a couple of grassroots organizations that are willing to come to Pfugerville, and they've been having issues with with Pfugerville, with trying to come out here. And so there are organizations that right now already, such as Gyms United, that I know that Tiffany is a co-founder of. It's a mentorship program. Tiffany just graduated with her master's. You know, so there are people who are willing and ready, and they have programs. I mentioned Unlimited earlier. There are people who are ready and willing to come out here, but you can't get into the schools unless the ISD said that you can come into the schools. And so, those are the short-term solutions. You know, what Jeff was talking about, that is something that we need to do long-term, investing, partnering with Apple and Dell and Samsung. But there are grassroots organizations right now, we can get you a list of them that are ready to be here, but the ISD has to sign off on it. And so that takes us going to the meetings and saying that we want these programs in our schools to go ahead. We don't want to wait 5 years to see if we're going to get a partnership with an organization. We need to take care of our kids now. And we have the ability to do it, but we need y'all to okay programs.
You said that you would actively investigate every contract with the city to understand exactly where all the money was spent and to identify opportunities for waste. But what I think I just heard you say is that you would be willing to, because the representative is here, you would be willing to fund a project blindly without a clearly defined budget to understand where the money is going. Can you reconcile that?
What I didn't say on the blindly. What I told you that I will make sure I work with this the chapter to make sure those structures are brought in.
With the arts council.
With the art council. With the art council. So I will work with her and then to see working with her means that we have to fund the budget.
So exactly what Mr. Marshall was saying.
But he said reckless. He said reckless.
He said reckless.
Yes, he said reckless. We are talking about budget. And then I said I will work with her to see what the budget is all about and how much it contains. Then I didn't say, oh, I'm going to fund it without working with her. Thank you.
Again, I want to thank you guys all for joining us today. We are going to have another candidate forum on October the 22nd. And then the first meeting for Black Pfugerville, which everyone again is invited to come to, even if you're not a member, is on October the 24th at the Pfugerville Library. If last thing, sorry, I have to do one other plug. So African TV5 is here. These folks are the not just saying that because I'm the chairwoman of African TV5. But I do have to say that on October the 13th through the 15th, AFTV5 is holding an event at the Crown Plaza in Austin. And this event is called the U.S. Africa Business Matchmaking Conference and Expo. And at this event, there's going to be several vendors. It's very businessy, okay? But it's an opportunity for you to learn what doing business in Africa looks like and how reaching to the root actually empowers us here as well as the entire African diaspora. So at this, to close this this meeting, I know you guys all smell that fried chicken right now. I know you smell those red velvet waffles right now. I know that you smell the best catfish in the entire world, and I'm a non-catfish eater typically, but I will tear their catfish up. Please patronize this Black-owned business. Please order, please mingle, and please vote. Okay? Thank you.